Good morning, everyone. Let me introduce myself. This is me. I'm the chair of the local organizing committee, and I would like to welcome you at the Living Knowledge Conference, the 8th Living Knowledge Conference now organized in Budapest. And actually, for now, for us, it's a real privilege to organize this, and because we were quite recently getting into the Living Knowledge Network, so to say, and we are quite, excited about organizing this whole event since we said yes to it when we were invited to do it during the last Living Knowledge Conference in Dublin. And since then, actually, the whole world turned around us, changed with us, because at that time, 2 years ago, when we said we accepted this invitation and we were very happy to have this invitation, since then, what happened to us is that we finally had a science show, and we didn't imagine that at that time, that we are going to have a science show. And just some days ago, we celebrated the first birthday of the Corvinus Science Shop, and we are very happy about that. However, it was not a real celebration, you can tell, because we were organizing a conference, So we had a bit of a celebration in our mind and in our heart, but no big party. But maybe we are going to have a big party here. There is another reason why it is so important to us, but I'm going to finish the whole session with that element. And actually what we are celebrating each day in the Corvinus Science Shop is the sort of an inclusion, the partnership with communities, and how to deal with the diversity of knowledge, the knowledge holders, how to bring them together, and how to experience the equality of this diversity of knowledges. And actually, this is why we have come up with the title of the conference, which is, enriching science and community engagement. And hopefully, this is going to be a place where we are all celebrating this for the upcoming 3 days. The schedule today is going to go as follows in this plenary. We are going to have 4 speakers, and we are going to have first setting the scene by, so to say, policymakers, and they are actually allowed just a very short time to speak. Actually, we were a bit hesitant to even tell them that they have 10 minutes and 5 minutes to talk about what they wish to do as the context, the European and the Hungarian context for us. And then, actually, we are going to have longer presentations about research with communities. And let me introduce very briefly who we are going to listen to. The first speaker is going to be Philippe Gallier from the European Commission, who is the head of the sector, coining the term responsible research and innovation. I guess a framework very important to all of us. And then we are going to give the floor to Gyula Szigeti, who is the Vice President for Research and Development in Hungary for the National Research Development and Innovation Office. And afterwards, we are going to have a combined plenary talk by Tessa Udvarhelyi and Zora Molnár, and they are going to share their experience with the research they shared and how they contributed. And don't be surprised if there are some interactive elements throughout the way. So even though it's a plenary talk and this room is quite packed and it's not very good for interaction, as you see, with this very structured format, but we do hope that there is going to be discussion already here, so at some point we are going to ask you something, okay? So, but let me invite first Philippe Gallier to the floor to talk about RRI and setting the scene for us from his point of view. And I am not that quick how short is the way from your chair to this table, but I'm ready.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Rika, for inviting me for this 8th Living Knowledge conference. Thank you to the organizing committee as well. The title will be explained by my presentation, so I have 10 minutes only, so I don't go too deeply in each of the slides, as you will see. Allow me first a personal note for my introduction. I am an engineer by training, and this is the place where I've done my studies, the INSA in Lyon in France, and 40 years ago, something like that. But okay, And during the 5 years of my studies, I have not heard anything about society. It was all about math, physics, and so on and so forth. And now this is a situation. Since a few years, they have a foundation nearby, and they are working a lot on social responsibility of engineers. So this is just to say that it may be slow, but things are really changing. So it took 40 years to go from nothing to this, but it's a good thing, and we have to keep this in mind, moving the institutions like that. So I will go very quickly on these 4 main points, taking stock of our activities for science and society, showing what has been Klaus Schmoeder's contribution to our science and society dossier. I will give you some post-2020 hints, because everybody is really curious to know what will be FP9, that is Horizon Europe, as you know, and a few words on this notion of symmetry. Taking stock, it means that we have now in Horizon 2020 a program that is Science, Food and for Society, which you know very, very well. And these are the projects we are funding, and we are funding for responsible research and innovation. So about 50 projects, very diverse, and I'm sure that many of you are participating in 1 or 2 of these projects. In red, these are the ones that are going to be funded in 2018. Apart this program in Horizon 2020, we have what we call a cross-cutting issue, that is responsible research and innovation. So everybody working in Horizon 2020 is theoretically asked to pay attention to the content of responsible research and innovation. So as you know, gender, ethics, open access, science education, and public engagement. This is more or less the result of our mainstreaming activities. A few figures here. Most of Horizon 2020 lines have heard about RRI and said something about RRI, 87%. But then it's very, it's decreasing quite rapidly, and in the end we have 1.4% of all Horizon 2020 topics that are addressing in some way responsible research and innovation. It's not much, but all the same, it's 1,317 projects that are flagged RRI by their project officers. So it's something that is going on. And here you have a few examples of projects that have been funded by Horizon 2020. There are not only usual projects, small projects, but there are also big projects, such as the Human Brain Project, and they have a work package specifically on this relation to society, so it's important to note that. Here also in Quantera, this is an Eranet co-fund. It's about quantum technologies. So you see that from brain science to quantum technologies, there is this concern about the relation of research and innovation project to society. Another important thing to note is how RRI has been expanding. It's not only in Europe, but it's also beyond the European Union in third countries. So as you see, there are many countries outside of Europe that have been participating in our projects. And this is really good, because the debate on the relation between science and society is really a global debate. Here I've noted a few countries and the projects that are to which they are partners: China, India, Colombia, Chile, Japan, South Africa. So many countries around the world. And on the last one, RRI, let's say, UNESCO is part of the project and is leading a work program about the alignment of RRI with the SDGs. So it's rather good to see all that. And I want to point also to this network that has been created very recently on the 23rd of March in Paris about genome editing. This is also a big thing, and a lot of societal questions are accompanying the progress in genome editing around the world. And a few days before, in fact 2 days before, there was an article in Nature by Sheila Jazanoff and Benjamin Hurlbut about genome editing and the need for a network of scholars and organizations at an international level. Just a few words on the strategy that Carlos Moedas has been pushing. It's a strategy about openness, open innovation, open science, open to the world. And the interesting thing for Science and Society and RRI is that it is citizen-centered. All these dimensions are centered on citizens, and it's really connected to RRI. So I have indicated here a few things that you can browse yourself for showing the connection between the strategy of Carlos Moedas and RRI. A few things about post-2020 hints. The first thing to remark is that RRI has a life of its own. It means that somehow it has been escaping what we have been doing at commission level. And many people are working on RRI, are trying to push the understanding, creating new notions about RRI, co-RRI, things that are a bit like responsible innovation as well. So there is really a debate itself on this operational package that is RRI. To go further for the post-2020, you have to read what Pascal Lamy said in this report here about the European future as well, and the recommendations. Mission-oriented, mobilization and involvement of citizens, all these are important keywords. And even for the reactions of the universities to this report, I go quickly because there are 2 minutes left now. And here also, just for reference about what said the main institution at European level about all that, the European Commission, of course, for the interim evaluation, the European Parliament, the Council, they all pointed to the same thing in relation to society, is that citizens should really be part of research and innovation activities. So we have taken that in swaths, having a specific line on exploring and supporting citizen science, and we will fund a number of things. So just 2 things to finish. You may know that there is this open science policy platform that has been created by Carlos Moedas, and this platform is advising directly our commissioner. And they have produced an advice addressing the various stakeholders that you see here, and universities and research performing organizations are there. So it has been published yesterday, so this is really brand new. Carlos Moedas has been to the Council and presented this. They have agreed on a roadmap on the European Open Science Cloud, for example. And there are 4 interesting things related directly to citizen science. The fact that the project for citizen science should apply the principles of open science. The fact that research performing organizations should help create a supportive and open environment for citizen science. The fact that the EC should support an online toolkit for citizen science in Europe, and that funding for citizen science projects should be flexible, long-term, and allow for small and experimental projects, because very often we fund very big projects. And finally, just a word on symmetry. Since we have been working for Science and Society, this notion of symmetry has been very high on our agenda. It means that things are not only one way, they are always bi-dimensional. So when you ask a question about what could be the role or what will be the role of science shops in the future, clearly there is a way from science to society, informing, engaging, raising the awareness of citizens and civil society organizations about science. But there is also the other way around, and this should not be forgotten. I mean, the role of science has to change as well. It's not only society. You cannot envisage to change a relation between science and society by changing just one component of this relation. So both sides have to change, and I'm sure that science shops in the future will be helping for both sides, hence the title of the presentation, Science and Society Shocks. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Philip, a lot for keeping the time. And by the time you are coming into a place, may I ask you that this should be a warm-up session. Are you freezing here? Adjusting the climate, the temperature. I am freezing. That's usually not happening. So, and before that, personal note in this element, but let me come back to a background slide only. And let me introduce Gyula Szigeti to you. And it seems to be working.
That's fine.
So, thank you.
So, dear ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude for the host and the organizers of this event for inviting our office and offering the opportunity to deliver a presentation on our activity with a special focus on social aspects of science and innovation in Hungary. And I try to reflect the previous lectures also. The National Research Development and Innovation Office of Hungary is a national strategic and funding agency for scientific research, development and innovation, and the primary source of advice of the RDI policy for the Hungarian government, and the primary RDI funding agency in Hungary in this time. The office mission is to develop RDI policy and ensure that Hungary invests in the RDI by funding excellent research and supporting innovation to increase competitiveness of the country. The program portfolio of the office covers the entire innovation chain, from basic research and through applied and experimental research to the commercialization of innovative products and services of the field of RDI. The distribution of sources is based on three pillars: supporting business RDI activities, supporting the collaboration of enterprises and research institutes, higher education, technology transfer activities, and strengthening the research infrastructures in our country. The organizers asked me to talk about how the Hungarian RDI financing system enhanced cooperation between the various stakeholders of science and innovation, and how the promising and expected social benefits can influence the evaluation of the RDI project. Since the National Research Development and Innovation Office is a funding agency, let's have an overview of programs supporting cooperation between two most significant actors of RDI, the researchers and the industry. Projects implemented by business in cooperation with universities and research institutes from the less developed regions of the country won more than 127 billion Hungarian forints from the EU structural funds since 2015. The NRDI office also promoted the cooperation between universities, research institutes and businesses in Budapest and Pest country with nearly 64 billion Hungarian forints. As a part of this program, 8 centers for higher education and industrial cooperation are going to be established in Győr, Kaposvár, Miskolc, Kecskemét, Debrecen, and the Budapest University of Technology, the Technology and Economics, Eötvös Loránd University and Szent István University in Budapest, are various successful cooperating industry university consortia benefiting from total grant amount of 35 billion Hungarian forints, which is approximately 115 million in euros. The aim of centers to adapt university research programs in applied science and innovation to industrial needs. We can really the brilliant research ideas translated to new products in a short period of time. It is much more common that industrial businesses look for solutions to answer specific problems. Centers for Higher Education and Industrial Cooperation contribute to ensure that existing and future research infrastructures is able to serve industrial needs for small to large businesses. Thus, the centers open up opportunities for SMEs, otherwise unable to engage in costly research and development activities. When talking about the social benefits of RDI, we have to mention that the significance of the internalization recognition of scientific research has increased worldwide. This can be measured also with the number of outstanding, highly cited scientific publications in different innovation scoreboards and university rankings. In a new research funding program in Hungary, the National Research Development and Innovation Office supports researchers achieving results of high international impact while working in Hungary and accumulating scientific citation records within the top 5% in their discipline in 2 years of publication. Under the first call in last year, altogether 52 groups received 1 billion Hungarian forints in total cost from the budget available for the call. Through this new funding scheme, in the unique funding scheme in Hungary, we encourage research groups with a strong impact on the development of their fields to produce further research, to pave the way for the research, and to share them at the scientific fora and the highest visibility. We cannot not talk about cooperation between researchers without talking about the question of the open access model. Hungary was among the first 5 member states to support the progressive Gold Open Access model, which provides free access for everyone to scientific publications currently available only to subscribers. Open access enables users to access and reuse online information for free. József Pálinkás, the president of the office, initiated the formation of an Open Science Expert Committee in Hungary with the aim to elaborating proposals for national solutions to policy and strategy tasks in relation to open access and open science in line with the efforts of the OECD and the EU. And finally, let me emphasize 2 activities of the NRDI office. Both of them aims to encourage cooperation between stakeholders and the research development stakeholders of the RDI field, and also provide information about the result of publicly financed RDI project. We annually organize an information event on calls fostering research development and innovation, which is a good practice to improve the quality of proposals by sharing lessons learned from the assessment process. At the public events, the president of the office and his immediate colleagues give in-depth analysis of calls for proposals and fund the project from multiple perspectives, on the basis of which the Hungarian landscape of RDI capacities may be drawn and exploration of resources may be further enhanced. And we also share articles of our website about the most successful project and the R&D committee. I'm sorry, so thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much.
Actually, it was the final sentence, I guess. Sorry to
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.